I took one trade this week, my OG go-to setup that I always swore by. I'm really keen to go back through this trade. I took it on Friday. Bitcoin went to target in 16 minutes. ETH didn't, and I took ETH. Trading's been teasing me for way too long, and it's quite annoying. I had a really good week, really happy about my patience. There's a lot of setups I didn't act on early in the week, and I'm going to go through that. But it's good that after all these weeks of bad behavior, that I'm going back through good habits and the patience to only take one trade a week, which was a really good setup. And like I already said many times, only one trade is all I need per week. So let me take those things off as well. A little bit clearer and higher time frame. So trap traders, price consolidated the whole weekend. Here, got your weekend here in this gap. Exact same thing on Ethereum. Price didn't revisit 50% of that week, 50% of that week on Bitcoin. At this point, I was expecting that information on Ethereum. Actually, Bitcoin took this high, so you had divergence between the two assets, so it was pretty good for a reversal. And then we had one level, two level, and then we actually just pushed really much higher the second half of the week, which was maybe unexpected for some people who were expecting more drop. So Sunday gave all right levels, I would say, into that inside leg of the information. The reversal to catch in Asia, really difficult in my opinion, so didn't catch any of this, didn't trade this. UK didn't give anything special. We were ranging, didn't take any trade. And at this stage, when you have a big drop like this on a Monday in Asia and you have UK consolidating, there's a high likelihood that US is going to keep going. And this is one of my new decisions as well. I used to wake up for US in the middle of the night because I'm in Eastern Australia. This is the open of US is 11:30 my time now. The gap is at 11. Sometimes during the year it's at 1, and I used to wake up to trade. Maybe you wake up an hour into US and only trade from an hour into 3 hours in. Not ideal, even though there's a lot of setup that I like and that are very obvious in US depending when, and Monday was an example of it. It's hindsight obviously, but this is a good trade, especially maybe more on Bitcoin where that yellow dotted line here is 50% off Sunday. Retest of this and all the EMAs, you get a good short and you target. Probably on Bitcoin is probably a bigger better trade. This is on the 15 minute. It either target the weekend low, you get a 1.5 as average, but 50% of the previous week was a good trade, 2.7. Obviously hindsight, but yeah, I'm not waking up for US, not going to trade US anymore. And then came on Tuesday, I was expecting, as we usually get, level 1, level 2. If you're in an uptrend, expect only 2 levels and you get a reversal, but I was expecting level 3. And we came into this supply here on Bitcoin. I would have liked price to go to this one. I would have been more confident to short. And Ethereum did actually touch this one, and I was really looking for it. I didn't want to pull the trigger for any reason. There was entry here on those candles on the 5 minute. Final damage M if you want between those two candles. I was just scared actually, and because I only have 1% left in my drawdown on my evaluation account, I didn't want to take the risk on something I wasn't 100% sure. And in the past as well, it was one of my rules to trade level 2 because it's the more probable one. You always get 2 levels or 3 or 4 on rare occasions, and not level 3. So wasn't really confident on taking that level 3. I'm sort of glad I did because it didn't play out exactly like I would have wanted to. Like the whole of Asia, this would have been my first target on Bitcoin, this one on Ethereum, and it took till the end of UK to go to that target. Start of UK here on Bitcoin, but it was a really slow grind, tricky price action. The only one thing I looked at was on Ethereum. I was trying to re-enter it, and I almost re-entered it here. I just felt it was too late. So let's go back down in time frames. So yeah, see what I mean? It wasn't like you could say previous low of the day, retest of it, and then grind lower, and within this little range that was forming, I was hesitating to take a trade. I ended up not taking it, and yeah, I'm glad I did, because I only did that little move, retraced higher, and only dumped at the end of the session. I probably would have exited my trade before that if it would have gone break even, I would have probably been stopped out on this candle here. Bitcoin, I was actually waiting for a liquidity grab above this line here that we didn't get to get an entry. And then in UK, the thing that stopped me is we were still within Asia range. We just had a W between Asia and UK here. So we could have just reclaimed Asia range and then push higher. So yeah, not super confident on keep trading short in UK, and did not execute at all. It was mid UK here when Bitcoin retested the low of Asia, and that I had Ethereum doing this sweep into the supply, and I hesitated of re-entering, but it was already late in the session. It was just before my knockoff time, which is 3 hours into UK, so 8:30 p.m. for me. It was right after that. I was already pushing into it, and I decided not to trade it. So next, Wednesday. So here's Wednesday in Asia. I was really tempted to go long because this was a good setup, but I refrained myself from it because the trend was bearish to the downside, and I didn't want to counter trend a move that would not have juice or legs in it because of the higher time frame probable drop level 1 retrace on the 1 hour to the 50 EMA, which is the 200 EMA here on the 15, to keep going lower. But I'll go through that setup because it is a really good one. So I'm on the 2 minute now. I've had sort of a W here on Bitcoin early in US, res level 1. If you're in a boardroom, have this W on the 5 minute as well on Ethereum, which just grabbed the low of the previous week, which is actually good. W below Asia lows, reclaim, you go to level 1, retrace, probably in the boardroom, at least expect another one to that supply that has already been tested, but not enough in my opinion, and this is high to take, and a zone 2 retest before going lower. And the setup here is you expect higher. There's weird price action happening in the dead gap zone, and same start of Asia, really tricky to navigate here on Ethereum. Like, it doesn't look like anything, but like I have drawn here, you've got this range that gets formed. You take the high, you take the low, and usually if you retest 50% here, you got continuation higher, and this supply that took this low ran through really high, and that's your breaker, and your breaker gets retested here. Like, really good retest, reclaim. There's all the time in the world to enter here. But yeah, this is back on the 5 minute. Really good setup here for an entry. I just didn't think we would get such a move, such a push higher. I was careful, and the trend was down, so did not enter on this. I was really defensive this week because I already explained off my drawdown, and I really wanted to only execute on something I couldn't miss. I wanted to be execute on something I was sure. You're never 100% sure with trades, but the one I took on Friday was beautiful. And so that's the funny thing that happened in UK on Wednesday, my last day off before going back to work, is I had this drawing here. I drew this in Asia before actually this move happened. When I was about to take this trade, I'm like, maybe if something's gonna happen, we take those highs, we retest this supply that hasn't been tested yet, and we did exactly that. We had a divergence between Bitcoin and ETH, so ETH took this high, ran through this, retested 50% of previous week, and Bitcoin pushed here in UK. This push wasn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting us to push that high, so there was no reason for me to enter a trade here, even though there's a possibility of a trade to push like and get that third level, like I pointed out, like same here on Ethereum. It's I don't know, didn't make sense for me. My cutoff mark was 8:30, and I had this drop. Then went to dinner, went to bed, and when I go to bed, I look at my chart, and I remember seeing this consolidation here after sweeping Asia highs, and Bitcoin had created a name above Asia highs and the high of the day. And this candle did not happen yet, but I was in my bed on my phone. I'm like, oh, this is the short. This trade is the short. But that was the day. This was FOMC here at 4 a.m. Somewhere here was FOMC, and that's what I wanted to talk about. The news. Usually before FOMC, we get crappy price action. I'd say ranging. You do not have. You can't really trust the setups or the market. This is just a general opinion. It's not 100% of the time, but I'd say more often than not, this is what happens. But look at what happened this week. You got perfect inside leg on Monday. You get a beautiful drop one, boardroom, stop hunt, drop two, stop hunt here to the downside before the retrace. Retrace in key area, level 3, go level 1, retrace, level 2, level 3. And you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't know that FOMC was gonna happen here at 4 a.m., it was on this candle. Price didn't matter before that, and I used to refrain myself from taking trades before FOMC because I know it's tricky and because I know I had losses before in the past. But there's one thing I do when I do my back testing is I don't know about news. I don't know about anything because I don't look back at what happened and what was the news. Was it unemployment at the end of UK on, if I'm backtesting August of 2024. I don't know about anything, and it doesn't change anything about my trading and my result. That's why nowadays I don't look at any news except a bank holiday, because sometimes you have a drastic move here. Here, Asia was a bank holiday, so you have Asia is trending, which is most of what Asia does on bank holiday. Like a bank holiday in Asia, I'm going to be really keen to trade, and I'm going to look what the market does. I used to not trade UK when I had news end of UK. Those news, do not look at them anymore. I'm just aware if I've got a CPI week or FOMC week. Just I be on my toes. But this week proved that the model played out pretty good, if not perfectly, before FOMC. And if you were to wait FOMC to take a trade, well, guess what? You've missed all this move. Like I was sleeping start of US, but if I would have gone to bed here at 8:30 and wake up here in US, like what trade do you take? A continuation move? Like it's a bit risky. The entry was here. The entry was mid UK, like it often does, like when it actually started 3 hours into UK. But then the trade was in the extension, so in a timing window that I usually do not take trade. And that's the thing with rules in trading, is most of the time they will protect you, and there is that time where it stops you from taking a good trade. But it doesn't mean that you have to change all your rules because of that one trade or those two trades. 7 times out of 10, those rules are going to protect you, and if you've put them in place for a reason. So do not pay attention to the time where the rules are working against you. It's just the outlier. It's not a big deal. So yeah, didn't get this move. Was right about the fact that you can see something and miss the trade and still be right about the fact that okay, you realize you read the market properly, and that's a good thing. I mean, it means you're progressing. And then here on from Thursday, back to work. So only trading my UK session here. So nothing crazy here on Thursday. Didn't see anything special. This move was a bit weird as well. After level 3, you sort of have this W, but not knowing about this move up here. When you were here, it was sort of a W retest of the low of the week, or you probably would have thought that maybe you had a continuation on the higher time frame and all this was just gonna dump lower, and this was a name reset. Asia was tricky, nothing to do in UK. And Friday's the same thing, because usually on Fridays you have ranging price action. It's a trap day. It'll trap you for the weekend. you might not get good trades. It's like for me, Friday is the day I'll be very careful, and I usually in the past maybe even not trade it. Look at it. Look at what happened this Friday. Asia gives that big push. So because I saw it, like I explained, at W rise 1, rise 2, there was so much momentum. I was keen to take a trade in the UK, and this is just the meat of the move I wanted to take. So, and I decided to take it on ETH, and ETH didn't do anything. Let's go through the details of the move, of the trade. I jump into start of UK. I actually finished work. I only got it in there right here. So quite lucky I got into this trade. But price gave me a beautiful W, retesting 50% of Asia, reclaiming the high of previous day. I've got my little demand here zone. Price retests it. I actually wait for it on the 2 minute, enter this trade, because this is what I take more often than not, is Ethereum. Thing is, Bitcoin's got more tendency to do the sweep, but like I said, this is like a 50-50 chance, and it did not happen in my favor today. It will next time, so not upset. Like I was upset about it when this was happening, and Bitcoin took my target in 15 minutes, but I'm not anymore. I had a really good week. I was patient. This was a break even. So yeah, nothing to be upset about. So, but yeah, to go back to the trade, same thing on Ethereum, retesting 50% Asia. This W was nice. Same, this candle, retest of the demand, and you get this move up straight in there. Like this is a 15-minute trade. This is all I aim for. This is all I want to trade, because I get on my laptop here at 5, and by 6:30, an hour and a half, I'm done. I close my laptop and I go live my life. Because there's people that are going to tell me, oh yeah, but see, you went break even, but your trade went higher, and I actually went higher. So my target was here. I actually have, I'll explain. My target was obviously high of Asia, but here was something like the 15-minute 200. So there was a high likelihood that we were going to retest it. And what I do in cases like this, where I'm like, we might just fly higher, not just sweep this high, is this is my TP in my head. If price goes up like here, I'll let it go to that level, and then either it pushes straight away, blasted through it, and then I'll move my stop loss here, and then my best case is now my worst case, and everything that is up there is like cream on top for me to take extra. Or it depends like where you are in your week and how much profit you have, and if you really just want to close your trade there, are you going to be busy and you're not going to be able to attend anything? So yeah, you place your limit order there. But if it moves with strength like this, take it off. If you see it closing back below, then you can close your trade if you want. And if it goes up and you don't care about giving some back, then you just raise your stop loss to wherever market structure there is. You can play the low of the previous candle. Is a good one to have. So you got this candle, place your stop loss here, and see what happens until it moves higher. One I like to do, if price blasts through, is just raise my stop loss here, and then, like I just said, my worst case becomes my best case. So running through this trade, Ethereum did that divergence, and when Bitcoin started to retrace inside, I was really keen to. I was like really thinking like, should I close this trade? At the time, it was about a 2-hour, and I could have taken that because I really need a good trade. I need a winner. I need to build that confidence back. I just didn't want to trust it. So, and because all this looked as a retrace, and I still had a supply here. I still had this breaker that's getting retested, so I was quite happy with that. This zone here was getting retested. This looked like a retrace. I was like, okay, I might get in. And I have this 2-hour cutoff mark where at 2 hour, if my trade hasn't gone anywhere, I'll cut it or put my stop loss like close to price, or I'll break even. And here was the last zone I wanted to retest, but it was getting towards the end and I had to leave, and yeah, put my stop loss to break even. get stopped out. I could just say, obviously, trade kept going higher as well. This is not the way I want to trade. This is the ideal setup for me. So obviously on Bitcoin is I enter my trade within the start of the session, the first couple of hours, and my trade play out in 30 minute, 15 minute to the 3 hour mark or something like this, and then I want to be off. And one of my rules is actually to get out before the extension of a move. I'm only gonna stay in if my stop is in profit, if my stop is at break even, and I think I'm happy to give profits back if price retrace. There's only a few occasions I will. I want to trade within that zone. And even if I go back to and say, oh yeah, but the higher time frame still had another extra level to take and blah blah blah, you never know what price is gonna do. I want to focus. If I can just grab this move out of this whole fucking move, I'm happy. I took a trade here. It took me 2-3 hours being at the laptop. Plus, yeah, all these other days too. But once this is done, I'm done. I close the laptop. I don't care what price does here. I don't care what price does on the weekend or whatever. I'll just come back Monday, and then within the same session, I'll try to do the same setup, and I might be able to catch this move throughout the whole week, and I'll be happy. This is exactly how I want to trade. So hopefully I'll do the same next week. I'm back with all right habits. I'm good. This was a good setup. I want to only play this if I can get that 1 or 2 good trade a week. Ideal for me, or everything I ask for. So yeah, this was Tons. Thanks for watching, and then I'll see you next week.